now, Tom Swayze, the CTO of Netfortris.
Good morning. Wow. Everyone got their second cup of coffee in? Well, I'm telling you, didn't bring videos with me today or anything like that, but I think you might be interested, if you're a service provider, in some of the analysis that we've done at Netfortris. But a little bit about Netfortris, and clearly this is a marketing slide. I'll get past it as fast as I can to get into the good stuff. We were founded in 1994. Our headquarters is in San Francisco. You can see from the slide here a lot of stuff about our customers and our network. But I really kind of wanted to get into a little bit of the history, the build-up, so to speak, of unified communications and what it has led us to. So let's do a little bit on our focus. We're a business-to-business play. We don't have a consumer product. So our focus is, like I said, business to business. But we're a little bit larger than some of them out there. We start at like 10 seats and go up from there. 85% of our customers are multi-site locations. Some of our customers have literally hundreds and hundreds of sites. And so that's one of our sweet spots. Our average customer count, average seat count per customer is 67 and growing quite rapidly, and we have a really nice ARPU on that. So let's take a little bit of look at our 2 decades of innovation. I've been with the company a very long time, so when I say 2 decades, boy, do I feel a little old. We started off in 1994 selling PBXs. From PBXs, we decided to become a CLEC. From a CLEC, we decided to become an internet service provider. From an internet service provider, we decided, well, let's build our own national 10 gigabit network around the United States, and so on and so on. And we started building and building more into our network, more services, more functionality, and with an emphasis on quality and security. So next up, I want to take you into the where this really all started from a cloud-based and where everything is going. In 2004 was when we first launched our PBX in the cloud. It was called hosted back then, but now it's called Cloud PBX. And this was a true tenant-based system. This one supported a lot of automation. It was a very nice little system for us. And what was nice about it is we were selling PBXs. We knew how to sell PBXs. We knew how to do system design sessions and set up call centers and all the stuff that is normal with setting up PBXs. So this was a true revelation for us because by 2005, we stopped selling PBXs. It actually proved the case for the cloud. We sold 3,000 seats in the first 12 months, and you can see what our average revenue was for that, and so that was a revelation within the company. No more lumpy sales. By 2007, here we start getting into unified communications. By 2007, we launched our first unified communications, and remember, it's unified communications of the era. We actually put in the voicemail components, click to dial. You had real-time call control here. This was a web-based app, and it ran on every web browser. Okay, but it ran in its own container. Does that sound a little familiar? Yeah, it's sounding a little familiar to what we're trying to do now. Here again, we integrated eFax, voicemail, eventually call recording, and from that, we just started building on and building on with what customers were requesting. Because we were bringing in third-party apps to the back end, we created our own platform to run this on. The platform allowed us to add things into stuff like Salesforce integration. Our Salesforce integration included not only call recording, because we had that in our normal web interface, it also included eFax and all the other stuff that we had thrown in there as well. So essentially, it was a web extension to Salesforce. But we hit a little speed bump along the way. Okay, and probably a few of you here might know of the platform I speak of here. This is if any of the old Volca data people are still in the room, this is the M6 platform. So we were already looking at potential replacement platforms because we're always looking, but now we had to put the accelerator to the floor to figure out, well, okay, what are we going to do now? I mean, we've got the official listing. You know, we really have to get going on this, and we've got a lot of stuff that we've already done on the back end. We don't want to have to completely redo everything. But we had some objectives. We needed to validate, though I think we really knew that the market was really keen on unified communications, but let's take a look at what the market was saying. Let's take a look at all the additional things that we wanted to add into unified communications as well. And let's see what we can do about keeping our ability to be as clientless as possible. And then, of course, we have this big piece of IP, and we want to keep going with that piece of IP. So also, we want to deliver custom capabilities on that. So it came down to the review. Now, a little fine print here. Your findings may be a little different because your environment may be a little different. But I think I've explained our environment a bit, so you kind of knew where we were coming from. So we started looking at the market. And here's the market. Well, you've seen a lot of these slides. Everyone says the market's turning up, and we're actually seeing that for sure. And this is the cloud-based PBX market and unified communications market. So we know that this is an up-and-coming market space to be in. So I've only included one of many studies here, but yeah, this one was pretty good. It actually went out a few years for us. And believe me, they're in 2014, they're already off on this study. So it was much more than this. Let's see what customers were doing. And what we were saying is that we're in some very specific verticals. We do a lot in retail. We do it in healthcare, financial services, and enterprise. And so what were the different customers saying? What were they asking for? And what was driving this? And so you can see some of the points up here on the slide of where this was going, where the spends are starting to go. People are realizing collaboration can be very productive in their environments. So, hey, again, marketing says, hey, great. Then, of course, and believe me, this is the short list. Then you have your list of things that, if you're looking at a platform, of course, what does it have to be? It has to be 5 nines. It has to be, more than 5 nines if you can do it. It has to be scalable, intimately scalable. Well, I'm sure there's some sort of limit past a couple billion, but it needs to be reasonably scalable. But I've highlighted a couple of elements on here that are oftentimes looked over. Well, maybe not WebRTC since it's fairly new to some. But the WebRTC, for us, was a major element because we thought that's how we can get our platform that we've built on to have unified communications on a new platform much quicker. So we can get to market with that much faster. But also, it's the back office. We do a lot of provisioning. If anyone here has had to do provisioning, like I have, back in the day, it can be a pain if you have a 300 or 400 seat install that needs to be installed in the next 30 minutes. You've got a challenge on your hands. And anyway, so the back office was really important. And also, how do you bill it? How do you actually break it up so that you can actually bill elements and create packages? So, some of the short list there. Okay, so it came down to the short list. Okay, when we did the initial review, we said BroadSoft, BroadWorks made the list, Cisco HCS made the list, Janban Experius made the list, and so did Metaswitch. Politically, they're in alphabetical order, okay? What was interesting about this is that from the unified communications component of it, we actually, I'm afraid, had to take Metaswitch out of the game. They just really didn't hit the mark for what we were looking for in this. So it was down to 3. And then, of course, you go into cost, okay? And although when we were setting up a system, we looked at all of these. We brought all three of these guys were brought into our lab. All three were brought into our lab so that we could find out what was marketing, what was reality, how's it going to work in our environment, what did licensing really look like, what kind of servers did this run on, there were so many questions to be answered. But in looking at a baseline cost review, a basic system, there wasn't really that significant a difference between the three platforms. But what we were doing, we were going to take it out and say, okay, what happens when you go to 20, 30, 40, 50,000 subs? What happens then? Are you buying more gear? What is the licensing costing? What kind of resources for compute are being used? And all those elements. And as you can see, it really shifted when you started adding on users. And because of that, I'm afraid Cisco didn't quite make the mark. Cisco has a very nice product, but it really plays into the 500+ seat per customer space. And there's a good space out there for that. It's just not our market space. So then that came down to the final two. The final two being Genband and Experius. So let's take a look at where we go from there. Okay, now I'm not going to bore you with a lot of the tits and tats that we went back and forth with all the elements that we tested, but I'm going to go through some of the key line items, like let's talk about mobile integration. Yeah, for their mobile apps, boy, their mobile apps pretty much equal. They pretty much do the same thing. So, okay, very good. For their tablet apps, well, you know, BroadSoft has a nicer tablet app than Genband does. My goodness. And then what about WebRTC? One of the important elements that we were looking at. The WebRTC, you know, like we were saying, we wanted to protect our intellectual property, be able to run some new and cool apps, and try to make them clientless as much as possible. So WebRTC was a big one, and clearly Genband won on that one. So then it went to, in this deep analysis, we went down the list from both vendors of their referenceable customers as to, you know, what are they saying about their platforms. And really, down the line, all these elements from all these customers were pretty much the same. All of them were very satisfied with their platforms. All of them felt that they were reliable. I think as a general, everyone said, hey, wouldn't it be nice if we had a better visibility to the roadmap to their platforms? And of course, all of them said that, you know, it'd be much nicer if what they produced came out faster as far as new applications and services. No real difference there. And I don't think anyone here would find this surprising. And the interview base that we did, we were trying to keep it in our space, business to business. So that's what we did. All the interviews that we did were in the 25,000 to 120,000 seat business to business market space for this. What was really interesting here is that all of these companies had the back office and the capabilities to actually do unified communications, yet they weren't doing a lot of it. And so we found that a little bit interesting. Why weren't they doing a lot of it? And it's a varying different reasons, but there just wasn't really a lot thrown out there just yet. So, hey, I'm here. So, hey, the choice was Genband. There you go. There you go. But it didn't end there. Okay, so I'm going to go over a little bit of why Genband and then what it took to get this over the line. So, yes, the Genband provided the same sort of stuff with collaboration as the BroadSoft platform, so you know there was not really anything contentious there. I think the ability to do the backend portals. One of the things in that one slide that I showed you of our interface originally that launched in 2007 was the ability for the users to do their own provisioning. They can make modifications of their phones. They can put speed dials on their phones if they wanted to. They could And this was all through Cisco 7960s and 7965s and all that kind of stuff. So they're all IP-based screens-based phones. But they were able to provision their own phones. So, and add features to their phones if they wanted to. So this was a nice feature that we wanted to bring along with the GenBand platform, and GenBand's been able to do that for us. And of course, then time to market. One of the elements in looking at time to market was who's going to provide what in a solution. And BroadSoft has a really nice solution, but they also have to rely on partners. And we engaged all those partners. As we said, we brought this all into the lab. And we engaged those partners so that we could have provisioning and that we could have session border controllers and the other things that we needed to have a full unified communications platform. But each one of them had their own little licensing model. Each one of them had their own little servicing component of it, and each one of them had their own setup time. And so this is where we were looking at GenBand to provide us professional services to get this over the line pretty quickly. And if you own the portfolio of components, the theory is that you can do it faster. Support and maintenance. We owned, before this decision, we actually owned GenBand products and BroadSoft products in our network. We have the C3G8 platform from GenBand, and we have the M6 platform from BroadSoft still in our systems. So we were very familiar with their support levels and what they could provide for support. And here again, GenBand won out a bit on this one, and it doesn't hurt that GenBand doesn't cost as much either. And then the overall cost of ownership. As you can see, as it scales, you start seeing significant savings in costs. And when we're talking about these costs, what we did is we said that we had a minimum adoption of 60% of full-on unified communications with collaboration. So that's why when we were doing our pricing models, so we were taking that into consideration. So, and that's for all of them. Okay, next up. All right, how do you sell it to the board of directors? You don't want to go with the #1 provider, you want to go with something less than the #1 provider. Now, this was an interesting challenge for us, but these were the top 2 questions that they came up with, and I think they're honest questions. Okay, why would you choose GenBand over BroadSoft? Okay, kind of what's built up to this, what I've already explained, the integrated platform, all the components being provided by GenBand. Comparable UC and UC offerings, better provisioning and back office support right out of the gate without a third party. Professional services, that's going to pull this across the line for us and speed up our time to market, because you know that clock was ticking on the end of life. Overall cost of ownership, as we've mentioned before, and alignment with our roadmap. What our roadmap is that we try to do everything as, like I mentioned before, clientless as possible. We prefer everything to be in a web container or web interface. Having to work with smaller companies without a lot of IT staff, it becomes really difficult to tell them, oh, you have to do an upgrade, oh, but it's an automated upgrade, but you have to accept the upgrade, and you know, so on and so forth. You get the idea. Clients can be problematic, but a lot of times a necessary evil. And then the question is, why was the competitor bigger than GenBand? And quite honestly, it was they called it the A2 before this. The A2 wasn't removed as a standalone product until pretty late in the game. So they just didn't have the market share that the competitor did. But we could see this market share changing, and we could see the products really ramping up. So we've convinced them that neither one of these issues or comments were a problem, and so they said, great, well, let's do it. Okay, so on August 22nd, 2014, we signed the purchase order to buy the full-on platform. We use the GenBenz professional services as well, but of course we have a pretty darn talented team ourselves because we've been doing this a little while. But with them partnering together to create this and pull this across the line was really nice. Was really nice. And then one of the things that you've heard here mentioned is reduction of power, reduction of footprint, all that good stuff. We went with the hardware freedom model with the Xperius platform, and we were, I believe, the first company to do it on Cisco's UCS platform, which is Cisco's Blade Center platform. That was our choice of equipment to use, and it's working great. Yes, it did take a little bit more in deployment to do that, but we thought the gain was really well worth it. A very nice platform. We've also signed our first customers already. They're already in deployment right now, and we've already have customers eager to move off of our old platform onto the new platforms for all the new goodies that we can provide them. So GenBenz truly has become a valued partner for us. So what's next in this whole component for us? And I don't know if you've had a chance to meet with the Spider people here that are showing the new Spider apps, the new WebRTC apps that they're quickly being developed. And this is in combination with Candy. Candy's able to do this as well. And we're really excited about some of the stuff that we can do because, we already had this whole Salesforce integration component, and did we want to go down that same old roadmap again to try to do that again? And, well, it's really different. It's a web experience now. Within Salesforce, I don't have to download the .NET extension client that has to go onto the desktop. It can be a web container within Salesforce. So those are the kind of things that we're looking for right out the gate, and we already have some customers asking for some custom stuff to their own personal CRM systems that they've built themselves. And we're looking at this and saying, wow, we can really do this. And we're also working on preparing for the rollout of Smart Office 2.5, and we're pretty excited about the collaboration components that are going to come with that. And really looking forward to that. As you heard, we are running the GenBenz C3 G8, and one of the things that we want to be able to do, we also offer SIP trunks to our customers. I think anyone that's probably in this business at some point does offer SIP trunks. We have a lot of SIP trunking customers, but we've always struggled with, well, once you sell them what we might call a flex PRI or some analog lines, what can you offer them after that? You can try to convince them to get off of their old PBX system, and that works too. We have done that. Or what if you could offer SIP trunking that adds some of these unified communication services down the line, right on that, so you can keep that old PBX and still get some cool new features. So we're excited about looking at moving a lot of our SIP trunking off of our current environment and onto the Quantix QFlex product for our SIP trunking. And here again, I talked about the back office a bit. Now, you need to keep the back office going so that you can bill this, because, if you're not billing it, you ain't making any money on it. It doesn't matter if you have it or not. Using something like GenView billing to help us break into the back ends of our billing systems is really going to help us for that. And we're really excited and looking at how we can leverage Candy for some of the elements the partnerships and elements that are coming into Candy. VoiceBase, for instance, yesterday is really exciting for us. As we do that today, we have call recording analytics in our system today, but they take the analytics to a whole nother level. So we're really looking forward to potential there. So, and that's pretty much what I had for you today. If you have any questions about this, I didn't give a lot of detail. I had to really kind of wing down the slides here for you so that I wouldn't bore you to death. But if you have any questions, my email address is up there, and just drop me a line. Or if you see me out and around, I'm usually out and around here. Just stop me and ask me any questions. Thank you.